environment was. I came from Toronto via Montreal, and so not having asphalt going through me. And so I started falling in love with old-growth forests. And at the same time, I started playing baseball. And so, of course, on my baseball team were there was John, who planted chocolate lilies up in the Parkhurst old mill site as a guerrilla gardener. But there's also Ushi and Ken Melamed. And I became friends with them. We became friends with them right away and shared some passions then. Jane got involved as a director with Aware, and she always said, why don't you get with Aware? And I said, well, variations of I'm chicken. So this comes back to what Ken said earlier, that at the time it was a bit of a brand of shame, but no, I was trying to make. I just went back to school. I wanted to be a self-employed ecologist, and being associated with a group of radicals would be maybe bad. And so that is really the genesis to me of the naturalist. It was a cover for me. So luckily I became friends with Stéphane Perron and Max Gotts and Gutz, or whatever it is. And so it took about 2 years, because my thought was that it would be nice. Just go back a little bit. Somebody mentioned that to me earlier on that a lot of towns just have a naturalist group and they are expressly apolitical. They are loath to talk about anything because they want the guys in the tilly hats to come out and count the birds, and they don't want to talk about anything about saving. Like, they want to know what the birds, they don't want to know what habitat. We were the opposite, where we had an environmental advocacy group that, yes, it did have a birding program courtesy of Max and Michael Thompson and other really, Nancy Bricker, other key people. But there wasn't a really strong naturalist side of it. So I was hoping that we could have both. And it took a couple of years, and I don't remember wine. I don't remember Stéphane and Max ever buying me wine. But somehow it happened, the way it happened was that we agreed that Aware would do the advocacy, and the naturalists would do the building the information and bringing on the tilly-hatted guys and hopefully women who don't have tilly hats, and learn a bit more about the environment. And Max was, just to give you an idea, Stéphane stayed on as, I wish Stéphane could correct me, I was hoping to talk to him to make sure my memory is right, but he stayed on as president of Aware, and Max came on as our first vice president. So just to show you the intermingling right there. And, you know, ever since Mitch Rose gave his talk through Tina, I feel very underprepared. But the whole point to me was that the Aware at the time was very controversial. And it's hard to come out and say to people when you rely on money from Whistler Blackcomb or Tourism Whistler or the RMOW that you actually think that development idea is a really dumb idea. And I think that, I guess my message tonight is that I'm slowly getting more comfortable with outing myself, that that's important to me. Old-growth forests are important to me. I think that they're important to everyone here. And then environmental activism is not radical. And we've seen that over and over. Stéphane was talking about the spruce forest, or whether it's the emerald forest, or the slight wins we've had with Nick North Golf Course, or whatever it is, that we were always proven right after the fact. Everyone thinks it's a great idea after the fact, but it's during, while it's happening, that's really important to stand up and say something. So right now, I think that for me, old-growth forests are still the main thing, and with Aware and the naturalists, we're working on towards stopping old-growth logging in Whistler, and I think that's the next stage of working together. And I really thank Claire and all the friends that I recognize here tonight, and hopefully we keep going.